Good evening and welcome to the FE Bar. I'm your host, Jack Jordan Maynard, and joining me as ever is Jack Pickering. We'll be talking everything about the Misano Eprix and what a dramatic weekend it was. Antonio Felix Acosta losing his victory 5 hours after the race for an incorrect throttle spring damper, and Oliver Rowland running out of energy on the final lap of the race, handing victory to Pascal Wehrlein on Sunday. We need to talk about the Peloton style of racing. Is this really what we want? Are races less than 14 minutes acceptable for Formula E? All that and more will be discussed today on the FE Bar. Mr. Pickering, how are you?
I am good. I just want to bring the energy a little bit back down a bit.
Oh, come on, it's the intro. It's the intro.
I know. I'm fine. I'm good.
Oh, wait, where do we start? Because Misano was Misano, right? Like, that was unreal. I want to talk about DaCosta first, right? Because what a week this man has had, right? So, obviously, we all know that the race has been talking about the news about Nico Muller testing the Porsche car. And
the respect thing, they just didn't declare the right ones, and so they got the win taken off them. So, yeah, it was very harsh and cruel to take the win away from Tony Dack, but he needed that. He needed to win, and he got that. Just like he needed that coming into this weekend.
He needed that. Right. Just want to.
And he got that. I don't know what it is. Is it serotonin? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he got that. Energy. He got that energy and relief and off his shoulders, and there was a very emotional team radio after the race.
Yep.
Said, "Stick with me, guys. Come on, we can do this together."
100%.
Oh my god, that was. Oh, it ripped my heart out when I heard that, and then even more so 5 hours after the race when I heard it again when he was disqualified.
I suppose though that message is really telling. Now I just want to jump in because we did have a little bit of I knew exactly what had happened. So there was a little bit of buffering at the beginning. Hopefully, we should be plain sailing from here.
Yeah, no, it's been buffering on my end.
Yeah, but I've fixed the issue. So if it does happen again, please let me know. But I have fixed the issue. So fingers crossed that it shouldn't.
It's looking better on there. It's looking better on here now. So
yeah. So
no,
I fixed the issue.
No one got any of my little monologue.
Well, yeah, it may have been buffering. I saw that I saw from some messages. So thank you very much for pointing that out. And I realized I knew what was causing the problem. But fingers crossed, that is the end of that. But basically,
you've also spelt Roland one on one of them. So do that in the break.
Have I? Oh god.
Yeah.
That's fast. Yeah, I could do that.
No.
I can do that at some point.
No. I just thought I'd let you know.
Should have checked that. Busy day. Double race weekend, plus work, plus this. Stressful.
Double show week as well.
Double show week as well.
Double show week. That a little bit.
Double show week as well. Yeah, Jeff Dodd's here on Wednesday.
We haven't done like a proper talk about that. We've got Jeff Dodds on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So if you like what you see tonight, come back and you might get a chance to speak to the CEO of Formula E.
Yeah,
so
100%.
That is Wednesday at 8 PM on the channel. Join the Discord if you wanna have your say.
100%. If you haven't, and you can now do !Discord. So we'll keep going on with the show. What did I want to talk about? Yeah, we'll talk about DaCosta. So for me, what that radio was really telling, actually, like, okay, clearly something is going on, right? They say it's like, stick with me, like, I need your support, like, something's going on. And I really thought, as a racing driver, the mentality there was brilliant, and it was brutal how he was, mentality monster, didn't let him affect him, and then all of a sudden, boom, race win. And then here we are, 5 hours later, race taken away from you, 24 hours later, lap time deleted in qualifying, starting at the back, you get muddled up in a Peloton style of racing, and then here we are, talking about a disastrous weekend, which really could have been a really positive weekend for him.
Yeah, I just want to touch on the time deleted for track limits, because I think I saw I think it was Toby who put it on Twitter, but there was a shot with Vern who was all four wheels off as well, didn't get his lap time deleted. Uh, I got very confused where the track limits were this weekend, and
Yeah,
yeah, it was just very very confusing to me because the thing is traditionally FE it's a wall. It's a wall everywhere else, but it's not a wall when you go to a permanent track. And so I got very confused when there was because there was no real deletion of lap times at all on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday there was a couple, which
yeah,
made no sense. Like what it should be, the white line is the racetrack. If you put all four wheels over the white line, you're off the track. I don't care if you can drive over the curbs because there was the corner that turned 12, the one that had attack mode. Every man and his dog was cutting that to
yeah, yeah.
possible, and I just don't understand it because the thing is, I know that Formula E cars are sort of set up to work better with like the bumps and everything like that. So actually going to a nice permanent circuit
Yep.
and then so it's fine on there, but it also means that you can run over the curbs, and it's no real effect whatsoever. Even more so at motorcycle tracks where the curbs aren't too raised, just for safety reasons, really.
Yeah, 100%. Like, frustrating, but I want to move on quickly to Oliver Rowland because we've got so much to talk about today. Rowland, great,
Which,
obviously won the race, took advantage of DaCosta,
which
right?
one do we want to talk about first?
But yeah, took advantage of the race win, which is great for him, and that consistency is there. But what's really interesting was the race on Sunday with the miss energy management, very similar to me to the race that happened in Mexico a couple of years ago, when they also went one lap shorter than what everyone else thought, and I just felt like it was kind of like the same again. And I thought he was brilliant, and I thought maybe loads of people thought he was brilliant, and I thought he's got this right. They've realised actually we've saved too much energy with the safety car. We can go flat out. There's not an energy limitation race, and you're thinking maybe he's got this, and it all looked like he was going to do this, and then all of a sudden. You get to turn 5 and he starts slowing down. I saw on the live timing page before. I was like, no, my heart was gone before I'd even seen it on the pictures. And I was like, I cannot believe that this is happening.
This is why I don't look at the live timing page because, like, even though it's helpful, I want that genuine reaction to see these things happening. This is why I hated. I think it was Mexico City when I was doing live tweeting for qualifying, and because the virtual race center wasn't working, I had to find a dodgy TNT stream. To
Was it not working?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. First race of the season, it was not working. The
Oh,
virtual
the
media
first
center.
race of the season. Yes, yes, yes,
First
yes,
race
yes,
of
yes,
the
yes.
season. And so I was live tweeting the duels. So I was live tweeting quarterfinal 1, whilst quarterfinal 3 was actually happening. So
Wow.
yeah, that's why I don't look at the timing screens. Um, uh,
But you need to know what's going on. You need to know what's going on.
um, yeah, especially in the races that we had this weekend because it's all quite manic,
Yeah.
and it's what we expected from Misano, and it's what is becoming more and more common
We really
um
we
with
really
these
type of
permanent circuit
races.
races.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we really want to talk and delve
and
deep into the
yeah,
Peloton style of racing a
yeah.
little bit
I know
later.
that someone brought it up a few shows ago. It was the one where I was up in Huddersfield. Um, but someone said that the street races should have like reduced power, but when you go to the permanent circuits, you've got a lot more power, so it is a lot harder to you're not saving as much, and you get like and it is a lot harder to try and do these overtakes instead of uh just sitting behind in second. I can't remember who that was, but whoever said that, I completely agree with you. Um, but yeah, these Peloton style races, I actually preferred them to Portland,
Yeah.
but I think that's because Portland was also at 1 a.m. and so I was tired and I wanted to go to sleep. I didn't have that feeling at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
In
like
the
I,
UK,
I
so
did I did watch the Peloton style races and think maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's better if you're there. And that's why I know we got some people who were in our Discord who were there, and I'd love to hear from them to get their
we were there in
thoughts.
Monaco. And Monaco, I know
Monaco
Monaco
wasn't a Peloton style race.
it wasn't a proper Peloton style race, but we were there looking at the lap times, and they were
Yeah, but that's
ranging from 8
they.
seconds a lap lower to 6 seconds.
Yeah, very true. But you could argue that
It's still,
happens. You could argue that
yeah,
happens at most Formula E races, and maybe because of the street
yeah,
nature of the track, then we don't get the argy-barginess of four wide
yeah.
and
Still
five
like
wide, and
100
all the that ridiculous that comes with it. But we'll talk about that later. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hear from Pascal Wehrlein and Jake Dennis. Obviously, Pascal Wehrlein won on Sunday. He doesn't really talk much in this interview about the race, but they talk more about the Peloton style. So we'll hear what they have to say, and then we'll start taking some of your calls on what you thought of the Misano Eprix. So, Mr. Pickering, just be nice and quiet for me, and hopefully this will work as we hear from Pascal Wehrlein.
I think it hasn't changed a lot. Obviously, it was less laps, but also when there's more grip, it's more difficult to regenerate the energy, so recuperate the energy. Yeah, targets were a little bit higher, but I still feel like the beginning of the race is super chaotic, and for me it just feels like too much chaos, and it makes qualifying a bit irrelevant, which I feel like is also a bit of a shame. But yeah, nevertheless, driving for the race, as I said before, I'm not a big fan of those chaotic races in the beginning, and you know, we spend so much time and energy in the simulator before coming to the race weekends. We try to optimize our settings, the energy, the setup and everything for half a tenth, 1/10. We spend 3 days, and then you turn up here and qualifying is irrelevant. So it also feels like all the work you do coming to that event, not saying it's irrelevant, but you know, in the end, yes, it is a bit. So, and about the question if there would be other tracks, hard to say. I don't know. I think all of us drivers are big fans of the Rome track. Hopefully we can go back there in the future. I think that would be the best solution.
Yeah, I forgot to say, actually, unfortunately, the videos are slightly out of sync, which is a tad annoying that they've come from Formula E, and Formula E, for whatever reason, posted them, and they're out of sync by about a second or two, and it's a bit more noticeable in the Jake Dennis one. I still wanted to play it, though, because it's still important, I think, to hear what the drivers are saying, and it was really interesting there what Pascal said about, you know, I suppose wanting to go back to Rome, finding the races a bit chaotic, and so forth. But Jake Dennis, he had the opposite side of the view. So we'll hear what Jake Dennis said. So this one is a little bit more out of sync than I would say Pascal Wehrlein said. So apologies for that.
Yeah, from my side, I felt like it was a bit better than yesterday. You know, maybe the first 5 laps were quite similar, which was expected, and then I felt like the pace picked up pretty quick, and it was a bit more clean, and you know, the overtakes were a bit more genuine. But yeah, so from my side, I felt like it was a step in the right direction. But I generally, as long as it's not too bad, I generally quite enjoy these races. In comparison to, say, Tokyo, where it's the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where it can be a bit dull for the fans, and you know, as soon as the second attack mode's done, you know where you're finishing, whereas this has a little bit more excitement. And yeah, from my side, I feel like with the way Formula 1 is at the moment, it's important to bring something different, instead of just you know, a procession of everyone just driving around in a train, because these cars are incredibly difficult to overtake when we have a lot of energy, like way harder than anything else. In comparison to F1, F2, something like this, we don't have DRS. So we need this excitement, but there's just a balance. And I think Monaco last year was a great example. You know, it was a really good race, had the perfect balance of energy. And then obviously Portland was a bit too extreme.
Yeah, so interesting there from Dennis, which we did an article today about where he kind of said, obviously, that we need these types of races, and considering Formula One is so processional, we need something different, right, to sort of attract the fans. So we're going to come on to that topic. We've got two contrasting opinions from Pascal Verlaine and Jake Dennis, but this show is about your opinion, right? And we're going to get some people in the call now. So we've got Nikki in the chat that we're going to bring in first, and we're going to talk to Nikki about what she thinks of the Misano Eprix. So hopefully we'll get Nikki in.
Right, we're just going to drag him in
There
now.
we go. Hello, Nikki. You are on the FE bar. How are you? Oh, this is the question now. Has she got the voice and video thing up and running and working so she could speak? But I assume she was in the waiting room. If not, we can bring Natalie in, which we might have to, and try and get Nikki to work.
Yeah.
She's...
Oh,
Hello.
Oh, there we
Hello.
go. Nikki,
Hello.
hello. How are you?
I had to unmute myself. I apologise, fellas.
No.
I'm fine.
Good. Well, welcome to the FE bar. First appearance for yourself.
Yes.
What would you like to talk about?
Basically, this peloton style of racing that's going on at the moment, like with what happened at the weekend and
Yep.
obviously other races, which, to be honest, fellas, I'm not a huge fan of.
I don't think many of us are a huge fan of.
No.
I'm struggling to find a Formula E fan. Actually, there are Formula E fans out there, and I would love them to be on this show that are fans, because there are some supporters on it on social media. But what don't you like about it so much?
I think it's just the danger of it, to be fair. You know how unpredictable it is?
Yep.
yeah. I mean, I know that this is something that we've that me and Jack have spoken about in the past. That I think it was in Portland when they were going through that very quick chicane going into the final corner. There were a couple of times where like we were sort of wincing, and
Yeah.
oh, someone's going to go over the top of someone, because it is quite dangerous. And we saw with Nick Cassidy as well in the race this weekend, coming together with Jeff, because he went for a bold move around the outside, going for 6 overtakes, and then
And then what happened with Nick Cassidy in qualifying with Dan Ticktum and Sam Bird as well?
Yeah.
So,
you know,
P2, yeah.
So,
I'm not saying that we shouldn't have racing that is like super safe, because motor racing, why I like motor racing is it's dangerous, and that's what gives me the adrenaline and what I like. But I just don't want a repeat of what happened in Rome last year and somebody getting seriously hurt. That's probably why I don't like that style of racing.
yeah, so
You know?
I said this was when John-Eric Verne went wide at Portland, and he managed to save it, and we didn't crash. But if he didn't save it, we would have had like a 5-car pile-up. And
Yeah.
I told that to Nick Cassidy actually, and we spoke about that to Nick Cassidy about that when in our feature that we did in the magazine. I was like, we haven't had a crash, and he said but we didn't have a crash. You know, he didn't crash into people. We didn't, and I was like, well, just because we didn't have a crash doesn't mean we might not have one, right? I remember when the F1 drivers were moaning about, you know, the safety car and so forth, and not coming out in heavy rain and so forth, and they were waiting for them to crash before the safety car came out. Now the safety car comes out before a crash happens, because the drivers are like, you're waiting for something crazy to happen. And I do feel like in some instances, especially when you're 4-5 wide going into a corner, I don't know how many times did you wince when into turn one? When you think someone's going to hit someone?
All I had in my mind, right, is because I am a very huge McLaren and Sam Bird fan, was going back to that incident that happened in Rome, and also what happened to Nick and Mitch as well. And I feel that something like that could happen again in those sorts of races.
Yeah, I suppose, and we did see a lot of crashes, like with the Concertina effect. Obviously, it affected Cassidy, it affected DaCosta, and so forth. So you do.
Yeah.
I suppose the question is, right, and there's something else that we want to talk about a little bit after the break, like the racing on a circuit, right? So we're racing on a circuit compared to a street track, and then the races are also shorter.
Again, in those sorts of races.
Nikki, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, but my point is as well, I don't want. I'm not on here ranting because, you know, I'm trying to be a pooper or in any which way. But I'm a very big fan of Formula E. But like you say, 4 wide, 5 wide, 6 wide, having stupid chicanes where they shouldn't be. Like, to me, the black and orange thing was in the wrong place, in my opinion. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So,
What would so in terms of the races, then, do you think Formula E shouldn't be on these types of circuits and should be focusing more on street tracks rather than circuits?
no, I'm not saying there shouldn't be an evolution in Formula E. And if the car, because cars, the technology in the cars and the data in the cars is evolving and the speed of the cars is evolving. So, you know, why don't we have a mix of either? But when we're racing on permanent tracks, we need to make it a little bit safer.
Okay, but my question is, okay, how do we make it safer? Because if these cars at this current moment can't look, we had a 38-minute race where they drove super slowly, and we're still less than 45-minute race than what we're normally having. And you know, they were driving on Saturday's race like, you know, 10 seconds, 20, 15 seconds slower than they were doing in qualifying. Like, what do we do? Because if the cars aren't ready to drive on circuits, then why are we persisting on driving on circuits?
I don't know the answer to that.
I know, it's the
I'm
million
stuck
dollar
in,
question, isn't it? The million
it's
dollar
a
question
million.
for the million dollar
Everybody's
question for
gonna,
Wednesday, I think.
yeah, definitely. I think I'm not trying to be a pooper because I love Formula E, but what is the answer to make it
Exactly.
safer? To keep it exciting, but also make it safer. Because the only reason I came to watch Formula E 3 years ago is because of the unpredictability of who wins and blah blah blah, the energy side of it. Or maybe we just keep races with the same number of laps. So if you have a 36 race, we keep the 36 laps. Or maybe we need to look at bringing the attack charge in, and maybe that will change how the races work out
Yeah,
in those sorts of style of races as well.
I suppose that's the most interesting thing, and it's a real shame at this precise moment we haven't seen how attack charge will affect races because we haven't seen it yet.
No,
But
no.
Nikki, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Maybe we just keep. Well, I'm sorry for the rant anyway, boys,
No,
but you
it's
know,
all right.
it's just something.
It's what this show is
That's
for.
what the
It's
show
what
is for, right?
Nikki.
The show
Thank
is
you so
your
much.
place. It's your place to have your say on the series. But thank you so much. So what we're going to do now is we will take a short interval. Where we'll make sure everything's working swimmingly on our side, and then we've got a couple of people in the chat afterwards, and we'll take your calls in a moment. So we'll see you on the other side. Okay, and we are back. So we've got people in the calls. What we're going to do is we'll take Natalie. So Natalie is also in the chat. So if we can just drag Natalie in, we'll get her views on the Misano Eprix. Natalie, welcome back to the FE bar. How are you?
I'm all right, boys. How are you?
I'm good. How was the Misano Eprix for you?
Don't even go.
Yeah, a bit of a tricky one. What do you want to talk about?
Just how much longer will it take Formula E to realise that this sort of racing, if left as is, will become like 4 or 5 cars in the gravel into each other?
It's a good
If
point.
you know what I mean.
It's a good point.
Threatened it on a couple of occasions, not just this weekend, but yeah.
But then, okay, the argument someone put on social media or even in our Discord is that they're going, because they're not driving that fast, they're not going slow enough to have a big crash. Or they're going slow enough, they're not going fast enough, sorry, to have a big crash. Like, what would you say to that?
It's racing nonetheless. It runs the risk of having that pile up, but on the flip side, yes, while we're not as fast as Formula One at the minute, we will get there in the next couple of generations of car, I feel.
Yeah.
And also the sausage curbs as well. Why did we need them in the runoff?
But they were there anyway, aren't they? They're there. They're not. They weren't going to unscrew them and then screw them back in, I suppose, for Formula E, right?
Well, I don't think I've seen them for MotoGP before.
Really?
I don't think I've ever seen the sausage curbs there at MotoGP.
I thought they were there all the time.
I'm assuming that they were put in for FE.
Yeah, we put in for FE for track limits, I read.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even then, why at that angle? Why would you do it at that angle? Do it like parallel to the circuit.
Yeah.
I suppose it's interesting, and I suppose in chat there as well, like people saying, you know, maybe it's also dangerous how early they lift off, and you know, especially when you think about like what Nick Cassidy did when he kind of got into his problem in the first race, where he went around the outside of 3 cars because he didn't lift off as early as everybody else. So then, you know,
and then also
ended his race.
Yeah, and also Nick's crashing practice as well with Sam and Dan. That could have been avoided if people weren't told specifically to go round the inside of cars if they're on a flyer.
Yep.
But at that point, he was already off the road going into the barriers.
Yep. I suppose. What do you think? What my interesting take is, right? If you've followed Formula E for a long time, you will know that we have 45 minutes plus 1 lap of racing, right? And we've done that on circuits before. Mexico, for example. I know Mexico is very heavily altered, so it's probably not the best idea. But we did have Valencia, and it was a bit of a crazy race in Valencia, but it wasn't that crazy. I know they all ran out of energy on one of the races, but still. But that was with the old, you know, the new rules of the safety car and the added laps and so forth. And I think there was just a few sticking points around that.
Yeah.
The race in Misano was 37 minutes on Sunday and 38 minutes on Saturday. As a paying fan, right, is that acceptable? For considering that, you know, people fly out for these races, you know, you're spending €100 on tickets, but you would spend €100 on tickets and get 45 minutes plus 1 lap. Now you're spending €100 on tickets and you're getting 37 minutes, so you're getting less minutes of racing. Like, do you think that's acceptable?
Yes and no. Because yes, while Formula E is adapting in a way that they don't need the timed races anymore, would you still want to pay €100 for 35 minutes of racing that some would argue isn't that good because it's kind of processional in a way?
Okay, so like a 45-minute race, you mean, rather than 35. So 45-minute race was processional, a bit like Tokyo?
No. Well, yes and no. Tokyo, you had your overtake.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Case in point.
Tokyo, you had your overtakes, you had your typical Formula E street circuit, you had your daring overtakes on the last lap. Then with Misano, I just felt like people were overtaking because they didn't want to be in the middle of the pack where they could get crashed out easily. They could lose wings like Nick did on Saturday. They could get damage that could potentially be irreparable and costly to the team, like Envision did with their double DNF.
It's true, but isn't that just part of the danger, right? That's just part of the racing. So you could argue that, look at Ollie Rowland. I know he didn't, but he won technically the race on Saturday. He went through the field. He didn't get his front wing damage. It was all part of the calculated risk, right? And he took that calculated risk and ended up winning that race. Same with Da Costa. Da Costa came from, quite far down on Saturday.
Yeah.
Managed the race really well and crossed the line first. So there are ways of mitigating. Like if you look at Nick Cassidy, he tried an aggressive move. Like he was being aggressive. So and the aggression didn't work out for him. So I understand the point of there could be crashes, and I'm it takes one driver to get it wrong and take out 5 cars in a peloton style race. I fully agree to that. But when we look at some of the drivers' incidences, like Cassidy's, for example, he was aggressive. He took a chance, and unfortunately for him, it bit him back.
Yeah. No, it's that risk and reward with Formula E. You take the risk, it either crashes you out or rewards you with a couple of places.
Yeah. No, 100%. Right, Natalie, go on.
Yeah, no. I just want to say, I think with the one thing about it being like 37 minutes, 40-minute races, is that Formula E have been capping the amount of usable energy for the last 2 seasons. Why aren't they giving them more energy for more laps, for more racing? It's something that completely baffles me. Like it's been steadily around about 40 kilowatts of power, even though
they have 58 available.
Yeah, 58, something like that. Why aren't they saying like, look, we'll give you 50 kilowatts of power for how many laps was it? 28 and 26?
28, yeah.
30, which I'd like to point out is 100 kilometers, which goes back to my thing from about 5 shows ago where I was moaning about the race lengths. So yeah, there we go. That's So that's one thing that I'd probably say. Like it needs to be more energy, more racing laps, less peloton, please.
I'd have to agree with Pico on that, unfortunately. Yeah. If they haven't got the energy,
unfortunately, like he's always wrong. Like he's always wrong.
I didn't realise that's not so wrong.
I'm saying you're right. But...
yeah, I know.
More energy.
We're picking at you.
More energy, more laps, more chance of a flat-out race, which is what Formula E needs, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm delighted that you agree with me, Natalie.
Because I've been watching Formula E since Gen 2.
Yeah.
And yes, while Valencia was a flop, there have been so many good races. Then Gen 3's come along, they've started capping the power, and I'm just thinking, is this the way Formula E should go?
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, isn't it? And maybe something that is brought up on Wednesday. I think that would be a good question to Jeff to see what he thinks of that, and maybe get an answer to why that is occurring. Maybe he doesn't know, but at the same time, it's a good question.
A Jeff preview show today.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Jeff preview show. Some of the questions that people are coming up with, they're good things to be asking the CEO on Wednesday. But Natalie, thank you so much for coming on. Saz.
Pleasure is mine, boys.
Always. I think we're going to get Saz on next. She is deafened, but we will. I want to talk actually before we get Saz on. While she's deafened, my whole point of bringing up, and this is where I really want to get your opinions, and it was really interesting listening to Natalie's opinion there on the 37 minute race. To me, I'm not a big fan of it. Like, I feel we've taken a generation step forward. Right, so this is my opinion. We've taken a step forward. We've moved from Gen 2 to Gen 3, but we're telling the paying public, yeah, we can go faster, but we can't go further than what we did. And for me,
Yeah.
the whole point, the sticking point, if you go to Joe Blogs on the road now and say you should buy an electric car, what will they tell you? They don't have the range. They don't have the range for me to go and buy an electric car. And Formula E is supposed to be this pioneering technology that is effectively trying to debunk that myth and trying to eventually make us have cars that will have the range. But what we're saying, what we're showing the people, in my opinion, right? If I take technology out of it, if I take everything that I know out of Formula E and go, here's the if buts and maybes, but they're doing this because of this. If I just take a standard casual view, right? I see that we can't go as far as we did. Therefore, the range. You used to do a 45-minute plus 1 lap race. You can't even do that anymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at the stats. I can't remember. I'm going to say I think in Mexico in season 8, it was a 40-lap race, and I genuinely might be wrong, but I think I remember it was a 40-lap race. That was the one where the Porsches absolutely dominated. It was Verlaine the Lottery who won that, and to think that this year in Mexico City we did a 36-lap race doesn't really make much sense. And
that's what I mean.
It is literally we go quicker, we can't go further.
Yeah, and 50 kilowatts.
It is that.
50 kilowatts an hour might seem like quite a bit actually. Like it seems like a small number, but it might actually.
We had that last year.
Well, we had 250, and then we had 250. We had 300 last year because it was Gen 3, but it was 250. 250 in Gen 2.
52 kilowatts of power, something like that. 52 kilowatts of power, something like that. And
No,
now we're
but-
capping it to 40.
No, what I mean is that the jump in race usable power was 250 in Gen 2, and it's now 300, right? So they run at 300 kilowatts. But my argument is, and yes, there are some races which are longer than 45 minutes, right? And so forth. Safety cars can help that as well. But, if there was no safety car in Misano, right, it was a 37-minute race plus that, because no added laps, but you had the safety car where they all slowed down for 1 lap. If that hadn't happened, you're looking at a 35-minute race. That's 10 minutes shorter than what we had, and we had that style of racing on a racetrack, which to me says that Formula E cars aren't ready for circuits, right? And if we do go to Silverstone, right, next year instead of London, then all of us...
Everyone, we've talked about it.
Right? Well, it was poured on the race, and I pray to God it doesn't happen, right? But at the same time, to me, it just shows that Formula E cars are not ready for circuits. They're not ready for that type of racing. And if we're going to go to a circuit, if we go to Shanghai and it's the same, if we go to Portland and it's the same, it just shows to me that I think, honestly, Formula E cars are not ready for circuits. But let's get Saz in, because now that I've had my little rant. Saz! How's life, Saz? Can you hear me? I love it when... There we go. Yeah, we can hear you now. Actually, how are you? How was your Misano Eprix?
Disappointing and frustrating. Just not a huge fan of the peloton of the peloton race. I thought it was a bit too much, because it's like there's no excitement until the last lap, because it's not, when will they go for the lead? It's when are they going to give the lead up? There's no fight until the proper...
I 100% agree with you, right? 100% agree with you. It feels like the first 20... If we look at Saturday's race, right? It feels like the first 24, 23 laps of that race were pointless. I didn't need to watch them, right? I just needed to see where they were at lap 23, and that's when they went for it. That's when they wrote, right, we've saved our energy, and that's when they went for it. So it feels like the first 23 laps are pointless, and I'm only watching a 4-lap sprint towards the end of the race.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. However, I know we've talked a lot about the peloton race, and we don't like it. So, I'm going to change the subject, if that's okay, and go, yay, Nico Müller. How good was his performance?
Wow, yes. We have to talk about Nico Müller, because I suppose that's the other...
We do.
It's the other caveat of the story, right? Like, in terms of the story with Antonio Felix da Costa, and you're like, man, Porsche got a point, right? He is dragging that Mahindra powered Apt into places where it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I could happily rant about the peloton for the whole 2 hours, but it's like, how's he dragging that to P4? And he was unlucky to just miss out on the podium, but in the qualifying, he's been amazing this season.
No, 100%.
Especially as Mahindra have got no points themselves, but their customer team have.
But he's always been good going, Pico.
Edo was unlucky to miss out in Tokyo, but even then,
he was.
Yeah, Muller was literally right behind him. I'll be honest, I felt so. They deserved that podium, even though they kind of didn't, because they were running fourth up until like 3/4 of a lap earlier, and we'll probably get into that in a little bit as well. Even though they were running fourth, but they inherited third, and for them to have it nicks on the line, quite literally, by Cassidy, but
about 10 meters or something.
Yeah. Here all week. It was. And then it was.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't. I weren't listening.
You'll have to watch the VOD.
I just zone out when you speak.
Oh, really? Thank you. No, is this genuinely?
No, it's not true. It's just I don't know. I was looking at something else. I don't know. Carry on.
It's the ADHD.
Yeah, 100%.
No, it's I felt losing fourth to fifth, sort of. I don't like it. It sucks. But losing third to fourth, that sucks big time, because that is a podium.
Yeah, but I suppose I suppose he deserved it, because I suppose Roland, he wasn't in it until turn 5 of the final lap.
Exactly.
But it was there. But he's definitely. But Muller's always been good, right? I remember when he turned up for Apt in the 6 races and 9 days for Berlin and so forth. And
when did you do that?
I swear it was in Audi. He turned up for Audi. I swear he turned up in.
No.
Wait, there was one race. Oh, was it Rast? Oh, yeah, it was Rast. Sorry, my apologies.
Rene
Rast was good. Muller did, but when Muller,
he did in the rookie test.
Yeah,
he did a rookie test for.
But anyway, he's always been quick, and he hasn't really had the best cars. And I suppose these rumors with Porsche, if they are to be believed, then you can see why, right? The performances are there. He is dragging a car that should be fighting for outside of the points into a podium position. Like, you can see why Porsche are knocking on his door.
Yeah, absolutely. You know that if he was in a car like a Porsche or one with that powertrain or a Jaguar powertrain, he'd be regular on the podiums.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how the. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just agreeing with you. I think
the only thing.
Go on.
Yeah, the only one I'm not sure about with the Porsche is not that he's got the talent, but will he want to give up his WEC for it? Because he does a lot in endurance, and maybe with the Lola powertrain, what are Apt going to offer him? It's going to be an interesting, silly season.
I suppose, yeah.
I'd say that's why it makes more sense for Muller to go to somewhere like Maserati. And
would love Max and Nico, please.
Yeah, because it's the same group.
Stellantis,
Peugeot, DS, Citroen, Renault. No, not Renault. Or Maserati. That's the one. They're all under the same Stellantis group. So I just want to say that again. No, like rumors or anything that I know nothing. I literally sit in my bedroom and just talk about this stuff.
And we can hope.
I've been away for 6 months.
We just about do that right as well. Just speaking about it, just about.
But that is a move that would make sense for me. For Muller to go to Maserati.
I hope. As you say, there's not even a rumor of it, but I'm gonna keep hoping.
Yeah.
Could happen.
Anything else, Saz, before we let you go, before we wrap up and we get ready for Nick at 9? So
Golden's gossip.
Golden's gossip. I know. I think we're sticking with Nick at 9, but Golden's gossip is good. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. What did you make of Roland? And what do you make of Roland's chances of fighting for this championship? Because one, he's been super consistent, really unlucky on Sunday. What did you make of his race on the Sunday? Did you think he'd make it to the end, or did you think no, there's no chance?
Yeah, I got very confused when I saw the power came up and he was on about 20% and everyone else was 23, 24. I was like, what is... I wondered if it was a plan and he was going to get into the slipstream or something. But so, yeah, I was very confused, and when he stopped, it was heartbreaking. But overall, I think for the championship, he's got a good chance, because as we've seen, the people, it's the consistency. Like Pascal's has been scoring points every round, or
Yeah. Well,
most
rounds.
rounds.
Apart from on the Saturday.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was it. So like in this championship, it really is consistency. I mean, look at Nick Cassidy. He was good. He's had a few. Well, he did well on Sunday, but he had that DNF in Sao Paulo, and it just takes one or two bad races to drop you down the standings. So I think Ollie's in with a real chance, as he doesn't seem to be showing anything that there doesn't seem to be any reason it wouldn't go, like he's going to stop performing as long as Nissan get the strategy right.
Yeah, I understand. I think Roland's been amazing this season, and fingers crossed for him, because it'd be nice to have someone different, because I think we went into this season thinking same old, right? In terms of, well, we're going to expect Jake Dennis to be fighting for this, Nick Cassidy, Mitch Evans. Maybe we should talk about Evans because it's not going really well for him, and it's a massive chance. But we thought it'd be the same people, and the fact that we've got Roland and maybe even Jean-Eric Verne slowly, he's still not picking up enough points, but like he's in and thereabouts in quite a few races, and I think it's nice that the championship is a little bit mixed up and a little bit, we do have a couple of different faces fighting for this season's title.
Yeah, I don't think anybody predicted at the start that Ollie was going to be so good, and he is just. I'd say it's consistency. John Verne's getting some points. Max Gunfer's got, I think he's fifth, or I think he's fifth, and he's been scoring points quite consistently. And it's the consistency that's going to come down to it, because it looks like the title's not going to be decided by very many points. So those. Hopefully it won't be.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a proper Formula E season, going all the way down to the wire in London. Fingers crossed. Saz, amazing caller. Love it when you're on. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant rest of the day. Enjoy the rest of the show, and we'll speak to you later.
Okay, thanks very much, guys. Bye.
No worries. Right. And that is it then. So it is 8:57. That means in 3 minutes' time, it's time for Nick at 9. So we'll see you at 9 for Nick at 9. Easy for me to say. He does indeed.
Possibly.
And we need like a tune. We need like a tune. It's Nick at 9, everybody. Nick is here. Hello, Nick.
It's actually Nick at 10 because I'm still in Italy.
He's still in Italy. Right, let's talk about that first, right? Because you're calling. We need to know where you're hunkered down. Where have you found a safe spot in Italy to talk to us in the airport?
So, hello everyone, by the way. Sorry, I sound knackered. It's because I am hunkered down in departures in Ancona Airport, surrounded by people who are staring at me.
Are you
So,
Sunburn.
Are you sunburned?
Some, but I am actually. I'm really red.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I got sunburn at Thorpe Park on Friday. So
The thing I don't get, all right, it was 37 degrees in Sao Paulo, and I didn't get sunburn. It's been the highest here was 26, and the only time I've been outside is the grid walk, and I'm like a cherry tomato. I don't get it. It's nice, a bit of colour, but yeah. Oh, it's been. Oh, sorry, I sound destroyed. It's been a long few days.
It's been a long few days. Wow, we got so much to talk to you about because you were there, right? And I'll be there in Monaco with you.
Thank you for reminding me.
I'll be there in Monaco with you. So Monaco show it'll be Nick at 9 with Jack Stone's Juicy Gossip too. Fingers crossed. But Da Costa, mate.
Yes.
Heartbreak. Honestly, I said it at the top of the show. Mentality monster. Considering what everything has happened for him so far in the week going up to this race, to do what he did on Saturday, to win, the elation, and to lose it the way that we've lost it, it's just incredible.
I mean, it was the longest day of my life. I mean, I was about to go to bed. I just finished my takeaway pizza.
Nice.
€4.50, by the way. It was an absolute bargain.
And I bet it was delicious.
It was really good. I had 4 nights in a row. I'd take away from the same place, to the point the Italian pizza owner or chef, we even call him, pointed at me every time I then went in from the second time onwards. And it said something in Italian. He probably called me I don't know, something rude, but anyway.
I'm sure he loves you, really.
They only would have said something rude if you put pineapple on the top.
Yes.
No, I don't. But anyway, Da Costa. I mean, what time was it? The announcement was finally made.
It might have been 9 o'clock your time, 8 o'clock our time.
I think it was.
I mean,
it was a bit early. It was 7:30 our time when the first rumours came out. It's about 8:30, and then it didn't help that the documents, right, for the notice board are ordered, right? They're ordered, right? So it was decision 30, right? Was the last decision, and I was like, where have they got this information from? Because I'm expecting to see a decision 31. No, they put decision 31 at the front. So it was before number 1. And I was like, oh my God, I've had to scroll down all the way to... They made it so hard to find.
I mean, it was... I found out about 10 minutes before it came out that something was going on.
Yeah.
And I had a feeling as well, because I was with a couple of people. We kept looking, thinking, hold on, this has been 4 hours. There's no official results. Okay, it's been 5 hours. There's still no official results. The only time that normally happens is when something has happened to one of the podium drivers.
Yeah.
Which is when we started thinking, okay, something's not right. And then, of course, the news broke.
It's 20-9 on.
Well, there you go.
Local time.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's past my bedtime, honestly. And then then it happened after this huge celebration. Where he drapes the Portuguese flag around his shoulders. He was the happiest I've seen him in a long, long time.
Yep.
He jumped in the swimming pool, all this stuff, the photos were amazing. And then to have it taken away from him the way he did, I think is it's a really hard one. It depends where you stand. You can say one, it's very bad for the sport because, it's firstly the thing that this isn't the first time we've had a big decision. London last year is another example. Da Costa losing the podium. How many hours was that after? 16 hours or something stupid.
Yeah.
It
was the next day, wasn't it? We walked in the next day. It was the next day.
It was the next day. It was during FP3.
It was during FP2.
No. That was set a camera being disqualified.
No. Was it?
No, it was Antonio.
Da Costa getting the 3 minutes was before the end of the race.
Yeah, I think that's true because
came up.
I think that's true. I think Pico's right. But yeah, there was another.
Seta Camera got disqualified 2 minutes before the start of FP3.
Yeah, from yesterday's race. That was mad.
But anyway, the problem is that, and I was a good journalist for a change and spoke to fans at the bus stops. I was on the fan bus, and those who were there were saying that because Formula E is very much a family-based sport. You know, when you look in the paddock and stuff, you look in the crowd, there's a lot of young families, which is amazing.
Yeah, and you see the same in London.
The issue is that because of that, you know, it being a long day, you know, loads were there for free practice in the morning, so they've gone to bed. And next thing you know, they're waking up and it's a different winner. And that's, you know, why is this? You know, and the thing is, well, for the reason that he was disqualified is, I'll be honest, unless you're tech savvy, you won't understand it. It was literally, you know, and the best illustration was Karun Shantok ahead of, I can't think what it was, either ahead of qualifying or free practice free, and had the spring he had and the spring he should have had. And that literally what it was, you know. I
wasn't awake. I was barely awake for Pete.
And I think it all kicks it off because he spoke. Da Costa then commented within seconds of Formula E putting on Instagram. His older brother then commented. Daniel Abt commented. Nelson Piquet commented.
I didn't see Piquet.
And it depends where you stand. For me, I think they could have just done a fine because it's a supplier part, and the whole thing was just very odd, in my opinion. So I don't know for certain whether it, you know, they are after they've activated their intention to appeal, which means they've got 96 hours to do their appeal, which is Wednesday evening, which in itself means if they do the appeal, odds are we're not going to have the outcome for ages, you know, which is another problem because we could get to, you know, to the end of the season. Look how long Da Costa, you know, appeal took last time before, you know, we could be waiting ages now, and that's the big problem for Formula E is that too many times we're having the results determined several hours after the race, which makes it difficult to follow and then difficult to engage with.
Yeah, 100%.
Because he drove, and especially with him as well, because the Porsche test with Muller, that did happen. You know, he did do a test for Porsche. You know, and Nico, you heard on the radio, and even the media penned to me, he was saying, no, the plan with Porsche is longevity. They are planning for the future, which then, you know, Porsche have told him, you know, they want to stay together. And of course, you know, amongst all of these conversations, they've then gone tested Nico. Winning in Misano was the perfect way to say, you know what, this is why you need to keep me.
100%.
And then to have that taken away from him, having what happened in the second race, and it's a bad look for the sport, not for the first time. And it kind of summed up what was, I think, a really difficult weekend personally.
Yeah, and I the only interesting thing, and Katie Furman, who now works for Formula E, brought it up in the debrief show when Roger Griffiths was suddenly, oh yeah, we changed that at the start of this season, but then she was like, hang on a second, that means you ran the wrong spring for the whole of season 9, but they didn't check it. And she said, I'm not trying to bring Jake Dennis's championship into disrepute, but it just shows that potentially, you know, the Porsche last season, all 4 cars were running that spring, and a champion has been crowned from a driver using that spring. Potentially.
Was this not? I thought this was only changed this season.
No, so it should have been changed at the start of season 9. It was a Gen 2 spec part that was kept into the cars in Gen 3, and it should have been changed, but they don't tell you what they take out of that you can use and what you can't use. So they only tell you what's been put in, they don't tell you what's taken out, which is another crazy reason, right? What series, what sport? Oh, we'll tell you what puts in, but we won't tell you that we've taken that out. You get nothing. That makes no sense. But anyway, carry on, Nick.
It kind of added to what was a confusing weekend, you know. And you mentioned that, and the thing that was, you know, nuts. You think, you know, Saturday's race in particular was, for me, it was worse than Portland. You know, the drivers the drivers 85-90% all agreed it was too much. You know, some of the driving was ridiculous, sort of, you know, stupidly dangerous. You know, those drivers weaving it, particularly, you know, that they would slow down, you know, on the exit of turn 7, going down into the chicane for turns 8 and 9. And all of a sudden, they then cut back across the circuit to get the right line, because turns 8 and 9 were very much were one line.
Yeah.
You know, as we saw, you know, with Vernon Cassidy being put into the wall, Vernon Jaguars, I don't know what is going on there. But it added to, you know, for me, this is, I'm fortunate enough to have done quite a few races now, and this is the most drained I've ever felt after a weekend, because it was just, you know, Sunday, I think a lot of us turned up, we were thinking, here we go again. Thankfully, Sunday was much calmer. For me, Sunday was a really, really good race. It was the right level of peloton, you know, and then it was a race where genuine race pace was rewarded. In Ollie's case, too much race pace.
Yes.
Um,
We'll talk
but,
about that in a second.
it's Formula E's got a problem because
Okay.
for me with the Gen 3, it doesn't know its best format.
Yep.
Nico Müller said that actually they could try and go even more extreme. I think he may have said that because he finished fourth, but who knows?
Yeah.
Jake Dennis was a big fan of the weekend, and actually I've got for those who do read my content, I've actually got a really interesting piece going out tomorrow about whether the event was a success or a failure. Basically, I asked pretty much every single driver whether the Misano Eprix was a success or a failure, and obviously read my piece to see what they said. Look at me advertising my content.
Feel free.
And it's as a journalist, but also as a fan of the sport from day one.
Yeah.
Saturday was too much. We had 23 of the 28 laps were so slow. Yep. And then all of a sudden, the last few laps, the pace dropped by like 6, 7, 8 seconds to the point where only a couple of qualifying pace.
Yep.
And that's not racing for me. And I'm not saying I don't want us to be a sport where it's traditional racing like F1, for example. I want us to have, a slight quirk that makes Formula E different. But it's trying to figure out what that is. Is that some of the peloton? Is it not? I think, and Pico said this perfectly. The only way that the permanent circuits are going to work if they increase the energy target.
Yeah,
that's the only way. And whether that's in the capabilities of technology, I'm not sure. But that is the only way. This season, they've reduced it a lot. Pretty much every race. I don't quite know why. And it's and what doesn't help as well with the FIA is the stewarding is so inconsistent this season.
Mm-hmm.
We saw, and I was talking to Cassie about it. Nick was really hard on himself this weekend. He was a man of few words.
The press conference, he looked so down, but he just
even it's you look at, for example, Diriyah. Mitch got forced into the wall by Jeff, effectively lost at least a podium, potentially a victory because he had really, really good pace. And then, Jeff got no penalty. For a very similar incident in Misano, Jeff got given a 5-second time penalty. Jake Hughes got given a 5-second time penalty on the Sunday for an incident which, quite literally last weekend, drivers got away with it. There's no consistency in what they're doing, and this is them making the drivers unsure of what they can and can't do. So Misano is a beautiful circuit. It was very difficult to get to. I've done so many steps this week because I end up walking home every day. For me, it's not the right place.
Yeah. I suppose that's the most interesting thing.
I would have hired a car.
But like Pascal Wehrlein said at the end of his interview.
Sorry. Actually, really interesting you said that, because actually, obviously, normally, this weekend was actually out of the holiday season.
Yep.
I was staying actually in Misano itself, and it was a ghost town. All the restaurants were shut. All the shops were shut. It was.
Wow.
There were Formula E posters everywhere.
Yep.
But actually, I ended up getting the school bus one day, which was an interesting experience. but actually, and this is where Jeff admitted, if we were to do this during the holiday season, where there's an extra 1-2 million people in Misano.
Did he admit that to you on the school bus? Was
loads
of kids, and then just
thankfully, no. My interview with him was in the Emotion Club, which is much nicer.
Nice.
But this is the interesting thing is that it was dead. The streets and the attendance as well. I'm still waiting to hear the actual figures. The grandstand, the main grandstand start finish rate was full both days.
Yep.
Sunday was definitely busier than Saturday, but the issue of having a permanent circuit is there's more grandstands, which means there's more grandstands are filled with people, and a lot of the grandstands just had massive banners up. I'll be honest, my highlight of the weekend was the track walk on Friday. Probably the best track walk I've ever done. Think of the history there of Rossi being the track being named after Marco Simoncelli. It was that was the highlight of my weekend, to be honest.
No, it's interesting. I wanted to come back very quickly to what Pascal Wehrlein said, and all the drivers said that, can we just go back to Rome, please? What? I know you might have not spoke to Jeff about it, and maybe that's something that we bring up on Wednesday. Like, they want these street tracks. Nick Cassidy even said in the press conference, yikes, there's only 2 street tracks left. I feel like the drivers are crying out for street tracks, and we're not getting them.
So when I spoke to Sam Bird on Friday, he basically said Silverstone just cannot happen. It's what that is not Formula E. Rome, he said, is actually not only one of the best recent circuits in Formula E. It's the best circuit in Formula E history. Even in Pascal, and this is something I write about tomorrow in this piece, he won the race.
Yeah.
And yet he was still disappointed afterwards when I asked him in the press conference, has this ever been a success? And he was like, I know I've won, but, it's, we all want to go back to Rome.
Yeah, we used that interview at the beginning. We used your answer to that question.
Thank you. So it's like, mate, you just want to race. And this is the thing, though. It was, even in the media pit, a lot of them were saying, let's just go back to Rome with the perfect track. Okay, yes, there were some issues, but...
So in your piece with Jeff Dodds, sorry, Pico, in your piece with Jeff Dodds, I read, and he said it's... And this is what annoyed me slightly. He said, but it's very expensive.
Right,
and I was like...
This is where I was going to go as well.
And I was like, mate, you've got PIF funding now from Saudi Arabia, right? The series must be loaded, right? If it's that good, and if you want Formula E to be in the city centres, in a city as big as Rome, surely you do whatever you can to make it possible.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was going to follow that up and say, surely it's worth spending so much money on Rome because you get to say you race around Rome.
So I said a little voice break there. I think if you word that slightly differently, that's a question for Wednesday.
Yeah, of course it is. It's always a question for Wednesday.
Returning to Rome, I think, isn't off the cards. That's the Misano is going to be, from what Jeff told me, Misano is going to be analysed in the next couple of weeks before Monaco.
Yes.
And then they'll look to make a decision on whether we go back, whether we don't, where else we could go in Italy, whether we even need to stay in Italy.
I think
because actually, it's a tough one because
it's Italia. Oh, sorry.
Good pasta and pizza.
I'm not sure.
Go on.
I'm not sure because if you were to remove Maserati, what Italian links do we have? Italy is massive in motorsports.
Yes.
It's not for EV technology. And that's the big question mark when other Thailand is looking increasingly like it's going to happen next year or possibly the year after. So are we going to increase the calendar or are we going to replace races we've currently got? It's going to be a really, really busy, I think, few weeks for me because we're obviously getting closer to, every race is a race closer to Gen 3.5, which I think needs to be done right. And I think we need that now, to be honest. Yep. If, some softer tyres, some, slightly more power, we need something because Gen 3 and Misano, particularly qualifying, the cars looked amazing. Mm-hmm. And the drivers also said that over one lap, it was really, really fun to drive, really pushing the limits of what the cars can do, because at least here, if you make a mistake, you can somewhat get away with it, particularly the last corner. We saw so many going wide. Don't even ask me about track limits, please, because...
Yeah. Right.
Ask me in a few days.
I'm just conscious of time, Nick. I really want to talk about Roland and get this in before we let you go, because obviously these were the two main stories. We've covered Verline, we've covered the race itself. I think Roland is the next biggest story. What happened? Because I know they probably would have said they needed to investigate to you, and they weren't sure. And I know the race sort of, I don't know if I'm sure they would have published a story, but I haven't seen it about the real reason behind what happened. I don't know if you can shed any light on that.
So basically, there was a software problem on the grid. And actually, there's a really good picture from the race where actually Sam explains it, where actually they got a picture of the car quite literally fixed on the grid. Effectively, it was a software problem. So Roland's car was basically telling him that the race was going to finish half a lap less than it was. Okay. So effectively, when Ollie suddenly slowed down and obviously ran out of energy, it's because his car, no, it was his car thought, even the software in the garage, they thought it was all just fine. But the car thought that it was into the race. So the software, for some reason, basically thought that the race was half a lap shorter than it was, effectively. So, and it was, even in the pen afterwards, he was actually all right, to be honest with you, because he realised there was nothing in his control. It was just, when it really a team's fault, it was just quite literally a system's fault. It was one of those things, but, because, and it got to 5-6 laps left when he reclaimed the lead and just suddenly bolted. Yeah. And even then afterwards, I talked to Pascal, and Pascal was kind of saying, I was starting to think I've done something wrong, because he just went. Yeah. And then the team was telling me I was 2-3% up, and I was like, no, that can't be right. Ollie's gone, I can't keep up. Yeah. And the team and Porsche were telling Pascal, it was like, no, it's okay, you've got the energy to make the end, it's all right. And to be honest, even the pen, I was just kind of thinking, oh, he's either done this perfectly or he's gone way too soon.
Exactly, yeah.
And of course, he had gone too soon. So the main thing is that the Nissan powertrain is performing everywhere, and this is something that, looking ahead to Monaco, Nick Cassidy and Mitch Evans were kind of saying, actually, the Nissans, they were what 2, 3, 4 in qualifying there last season.
Yeah, they definitely looked out the front row because the finals between Fenestrals and Hughes.
Sorry, it was 1, 2. It was 1, 2, 4. It was 1, 2, 4 because it was Hughes. Yeah. And it's the thing is, but they didn't have the race pace.
Yeah.
Whereas now they've got the 1 lap pace, but they've also got the efficiency. Their efficiency is actually there with the Porsches. The team that are struggling is Jaguar.
Yeah.
Envision are nowhere. Jaguar themselves.
Mitch Evans is nowhere, is he?
With the purpose-built circuits, they just can't match Porsche, which is similar. And I say it's similar to last season. Nick Cassidy won in Portland last season, which then makes no sense. But if Jaguar can't bounce back in Monaco, I think all of a sudden we could possibly see Porsche, whether that be. I think it's between Pascal and Jake personally.
Okay.
I think, yeah, that's my prediction. Although in saying that, my predictions have always gone wrong because I said that Jake would win on Saturday and Sunday, and look what happened.
Yeah. Perfect.
Jake Hughes, that is, by the way.
Yeah, Jake Hughes, and that's another talking point. We'll try and get all these talking points in before the end of the show. We've got 38 minutes. We'll try and fit everything in, but we've got lots and lots of callers, Mr. Golding. So have a safe flight home.
Just checking, your flight leaves at 5 to midnight, yeah?
Oh, so
have you just checked?
Well, I've just gone on flights departing from a condo.
Nick, do you want to know Chelsea score?
It's
where's the score?
Chelsea are 4-0 up.
What?
They're 4-0 up at half time. Cole Palmer hat trick in 13th, 18th, 29th minute, and then Nicholas Jackson on the 44th. It's 30 minutes to go. 4-0 up against Everton.
Well, that's the best news.
Chelsea and you've just got a penalty, so Cole Palmer, if he's still on the pitch, might get a fifth.
Honestly, at this rate, can someone just make like a Nick Struggles account? Because this is a joke. Every flight home this season has been delayed by like at least an hour. This is
that, and you missed the ending to the Chelsea Manchester United game, which I was at that day. So
thank you very much. So, anything else you want to? Are we still going?
The struggles are real. I don't know. I don't even know. Brentford could be playing Everton but unless Real Madrid beat Manchester City, I think if Man City go through, then we play on Sunday in Monaco rather than Saturday after the race. So there's a bar in Monaco called Jack's, hilariously.
It's actually Monaco Saturday. Chelsea beat Villa. So I'm going to try and
8 p.m. 8 p.m.
I'm going to speak nice to Jake Hughes. I'm going to speak nicely to Jake because I get on with him quite well. And then, hopefully we'll find a nice little place, have a few drinks. It'll be lovely.
Yeah, count me in. And fingers crossed if Brentford are on before, but that counts with Real Madrid. But only if Man City beat Real Madrid. That won't be on a Saturday. But never mind. Right, Nick, pleasure. Get home safe. Enjoy the flight.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. See you Wednesday. Bye.
Right, so the call list is huge, and I love you for it, and thank you so much for being on call.
Who are we getting in
I would like to get Stuart in first, then we'll take a small break, and then we'll take everybody else after the break towards the end. So we'll get Stuart in first, because Stuart was first. Hello, Stuart, welcome to the FE Bar.
Hello.
What would you like to talk about?
Well, I think Nick mentioned it earlier. I'm actually a Jaguar fan.
Nice.
But yeah, more than anything, I just want like dramatic races. But I've just been looking at the the championship. How bad are Envision doing this season? Considering they're the team's champions, right? And they're just there in 8th, and they're kind of in their own world. They're ahead of the back three, or obviously.
Yeah.
They've got
obviously
the shaped hole, I think.
Sorry.
They've got a kiwi shaped hole, and they've put a Dutchman in it. Which. Robin's amazing. Robin, we know, is a fantastic driver and has won on multiple occasions. But
was it just how good Nick Cassidy was? Yeah,
amazing. Like ever since he joined the series, he's been incredible.
That is true. I'd agree. But I mean, like you say, Robin's no slouch, and obviously Seb's a former champion, so he's definitely got pace. And we know the Jaguar powertrain is pretty good, so it's just weird that they're so far down.
I think this season's calendar clearly, for whatever reason, is not suiting Jaguar. I suppose these Peloton style races, we've had a couple of them, and for whatever reason, we thought, right, we went into this season thinking Jaguar, right, they're on it. I spoke to Mitch Evans and I was like, mate, is this your best chance, right? And it was in the magazine feature. Is this your best chance to win the championship? And he was like, look, I know it's a great opportunity because we have the package, right? But obviously I can't mentally think like that. But you're looking at him now, and for whatever reason, people like the Nissans have caught up. DSs are a bit better, but still not great in the race. I know, and then the Stellantis group as well. But Nissan look like they've taken a march, and Jaguar have taken that step backwards with Envision 2, and I think they're finding it challenging. I think it's really interesting to speak to Sylvain in Monaco to find out, and James, to sort of find out what's gone wrong.
Yeah, no, I'd agree, because I think particularly Nissan and the Nissan powertrain has really taken a step forward, which obviously means both of those teams are going to be taking that step forward. Maserati are probably being helped by the fact that, unlike last season, their drivers aren't crashing every race.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I just think it's very Formula E, but it's just bonkers that they're so far down, considering they're the current champions.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Sebastian Buemi did a decent job last season. It was kind of like, but I don't think he's the Sebastian Buemi that won the season 2 champion. I think
he's sort of Seb Buemi season 4.
I think
season 4, season 5.
And
it's not the doldrums of when he was when he was at Nissan in the final couple years, but it's sort of his last year at Renault Edams before they became Nissan Edams. When he finished, because he finished, and a lot of people forget this, he finished second in the championship in season 5, but to Jeff, and because Jeff dominated so much that year, and people just forgot that Seb even was in the fight.
I'm trying to think.
That's the sort of era I'm thinking that we're back to with Seb, which again, not awful. He's still a banging driver. He got pole in his second outing, I think, for Envision in Diriyah last year, and he got and this year he got a second place in the opening race of the season.
Yeah.
So it's certainly that it's not that there's a performance problem with the team or the drivers. It just hasn't really fallen into place. And like Frein's got into the duels last weekend, it's just the chaos that was Misano that he dropped out.
Yeah, I suppose the only question I was thinking, right, I'm trying to remember what I was thinking now, but Robin's great, right, and he's fast, and he made a mistake in the duels, and he could have gone high, but the problem is with Misano, for example, and they overheated the tyres. Where did they overheat the tyres? Sao Paulo. They overheated and they couldn't get the best out of the car that day. And what Pascal Wehrlein said at the beginning of the show, when he said qualifying's irrelevant. So even though Robin Freins or Sebastian Buemi might have not qualified as well, they had the chance to go up the field, but they couldn't do it. And obviously, but then you get caught up in the incidents. Buemi got caught up in an incident, and that's what can happen. And if they're just in a bad spell of, I think, when one race doesn't work, then the next race doesn't work, and I just think morale spiraling a little bit. It's just not working. It's just not clicking for whatever reason.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can turn it around.
Yeah.
Although based on their performance when there has been a bit of a peloton, I don't hold out much hope for that. Given the races that we've got coming up, but
I'm expecting more the same. I'm expecting Shanghai to be similar. I'm expecting
Portland
to be the same as what it was last year. So your only street tracks left. London's going to be the complete opposite because it's going to be very processional, and Monaco, it depends on what energy targets they give for Monaco, but fingers crossed it's a good one like they did last season, and we might be in for a good race. But again, Monaco, at least qualifying will be important. Jaguar might be better there, so it's their last chance potentially to really put on a good performance before London, if they are going to struggle in Shanghai and
We say
Portland.
that, but Berlin always used
I
to
forgot
be
Berlin.
where-
I forgot
yeah,
that
Berlin,
existed.
Yeah, oh, good. Yeah,
And I'm
Berlin
going to it.
Was, yeah, you're going, and you forgot. No, well, we saw that it would always used to be the bogey track for Jaguar, and then last year, was it last year they got a 1-2?
Yeah,
or
but
the year before, can't remember. One of them.
Too many overtakes to remember Berlin last year. But yeah, I agree with you. Interesting, and I suppose I'll ask the question for you, Stuart, when we get to Monaco with Sylvain, and see what he says, and I can bring it to the Monaco post-race show, the FE bar on the Monday on that show. But yeah, anything else you want to add before we let you
go? Probably not much, to be honest. Just I kind of hope Jaguar do perform. Like I say, I'm a Jaguar fan, so kind of hope they do perform well-ish for the rest of the season.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Hopefully Mitch finally gets his championship, because he always seems to be there or thereabouts.
Should we talk? We can talk Evans very quickly, because it's not gone his way, right? And I said it was in the magazine as well, which you may have seen. And if you haven't, go check out the magazine. It's a Jaguar special that was March, and you know, as I said, we brought up this championship that he's always been the bridesmaid, and he's always been super quick, and he's got that challenging teammate. And Cassidy's been, I would say brilliant, but he's also had his bad luck this season. But he's still in and thereabouts. Whereas Mitch Evans, he's nowhere now. Actually, while we talk, I forgot completely. We've got the championship standings here, and we might as well talk to him while they come up, and they haven't come up. So I don't know. There we go. That's failed. Here they are finally. So Pascal, where's Mitch Evans? Mitch Evans 7th there on 52 points, and Pascal Wehrlein there on 89. Like he's falling away.
It's quite a gap already.
Yeah, indeed it is. So if we just go from Pascal Wehrlein and Jake Dennis quickly, then on 89 and 89, Roland on 80, Nick Cassidy 76, and Nick Cassidy, he's still there. Like Nick Cassidy, it's still well in the title fight. Gunther on 63, Vern 53, Evans 52. Bird 38, Jake Hughes, prior to talk about him, because obviously it was a great weekend for him, but then not points-wise, 25, and then Norman Nato sneaks into the top 10. So that's where we are currently with the standings. But Cassie, he's got a chance. Evans, he needs some luck.
Yeah. It's been really disappointing for me, because I thought, the Jaguar, they've got a good powertrain. Mitch obviously is a fast driver. Clearly the car is still there, because as you say, Nick's up there in the championship. So I really thought this could be Mitch's year, but doesn't look like it.
No, doesn't look like it. Stuart, it's been an absolute privilege. Do come on again. Hopefully you're free Wednesday. I have a question ready for our CEO, because he cannot wait to hear from you lot.
Yeah, so I'll try and come up with one. Cheers.
Try and come up with one. Stuart, absolutely amazing caller. Thank you so much. Do call again.
Cheers, guys.
Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to rattle through. We've got Double Chris in chat. We did have Toby in the waiting room. If you want to come back into the waiting room, Toby, you're more than welcome. We'll try and definitely get you in. If anyone else wants to come on, do come on. It's your chance to get on the show before we end. And if you want to bring up any drivers, I want to talk. Think Jake Hughes. Anyone wants to talk Jake Hughes? I want to talk Jake Hughes. I want to talk Sasha Fenestraz as well. Like what's going on with him? Everything's going brilliantly for Oliver Rowland, but Sasha showed so much promise last season, and it hasn't quite worked out. And there's any other driver, that you want to talk about? I don't know. ERT had a pretty decent weekend, so if someone wants to talk about ERT, I'm happy to talk about that. Right.
Tell him when you need her.
Yeah, where's Helen? Hey, where's Helen? Apparently she's
right. We'll go to a break. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Apparently she's in Wales. Anyway, see you in a sec. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the last leg of the show. So we've got double Chris in. So Lucky Dip, pick one. Hello, Chris.
Oh, hello.
Hello. How are you? Welcome
How are we doing?
We're doing very well. Thank you so much. You're sounding really energized this Monday evening. I love it. What do you want to talk about, Chris?
Well, I mean, let's talk Maxi.
Maximilian Gunther.
Absolutely.
100%. Let's go. What do you want to talk about, Maximilian Gunther?
Well, that's a good question. Do you want to start with the positives or the negatives?
Right. I don't know. I'm interested now.
Start negative, go positive.
End positive at the end. Leave on the positive. We're big Gunther fans here.
This is perfect, Chris, because Max is Jack's favourite driver.
Well, I don't know if he's my favourite, but we get on.
Okay, well, this is going to get controversial because I'm a Mitch fan.
Okay,
did you see what Mitch said about Max after the Saturday race?
No, because I was at Brentford Sheffield United, so that's not great. Pico was in charge. What did he say?
I didn't see this, so you'll have to explain, Chris.
I might have to get the article up to remind myself, but basically, Max had a right old go at. No, sorry, Mitch had a right old go at Max for being a very aggressive driver.
Okay.
Let me get the article. Hang on, I'll have to get the article up to remind myself. Sorry, I didn't prep very well for this, did I?
Where's the prep? You've just gone live on national radio, and technically, But look, but the Formula E is aggressive, right? And it was an aggressive type of race that we saw, and yes, it was a peloton style, but what I mean by aggressive in terms of you're all constantly jostling for position, especially at that turn 8 chicane, because people go around the outside, and you just felt like at any moment, right, that there was going to be sort of someone being pushed to this. To be honest with you, I was surprised no one actually did crash into that turn 8 or got squeezed into that wall throughout the whole weekend. That shocked me that didn't happen. So I get the point, but at the same time, I'm interested to see what Mitch had to say.
I've got the quote here. He said that a podium was possible if it wasn't for Gunther.
I'm trying to remember. Was it Gunther that he collided into? It must have been then. Where he lost his front wing.
I know
I believe it was.
Gunther eventually got on the podium. But I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember the incident now.
If someone can remember what happened in chat, that would be amazing.
So much happened in that Saturday race. I'm trying to think. Well, it must have been Gunther then. And I remember the race. I remember the incident because Gunther was on the inside of the wall then. So if Gunther was there, he was on the inside. And as Gunther exited, they collided. That's where they touched. But then what do you expect him to do? Like, there's a wall there on the other side, and he's going to feed out into you, and you're side by side. And as I said, I wasn't surprised that type of incident didn't happen more, to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely. It just seemed like, unfortunately, that last weekend, because don't forget Gunther got a 5-second penalty on the Sunday as well.
Yeah,
causing a collision. He
did 5 seconds.
So,
he didn't get 5. No, that was Jake Hughes. Jake Hughes got it for gaining an advantage. So yes, right, correct. Key carry.
Yeah. So, as in, I say, Max is having, this is where I was going to say the positive, he's having a fantastic season, and I think he is in it for an outside shot of the title.
Oh, yeah, I would 100% agree. If the Maserati can keep being positive, I do think Gunther has a massive shot at the title. 100%.
It's a shame we don't have Jakarta this year because he was rapid around.
But he's already won a race, and I suppose Monaco could suit his style for sure. London could suit his style, and if we're going to have crazy races in Shanghai and Portland, then you just need to time it right, and fingers crossed you'll get it right.
Well, absolutely, but that's why I'm asking: is he doing it the right way?
I don't think that we can look at Misano and say that I don't think there's enough evidence to say that Gunther is an aggressive driver. I don't think that's fair.
No, I don't think that's fair either, but I am asking the question because I think, thinking back, that was our first Peloton-style race, really, this season. I mean, Sao Paulo slightly, but it's our first proper Peloton-style race, and we've got a lot more coming up.
Well, let's see if Gunther comes up with more. Maybe we chatted about this after Portland, maybe.
I'm trying to remember. I think Gunther was mentioned at some point last year as well, and I can't remember which race it was.
I don't know. I don't know.
want to say it was either Monaco or London.
I don't know. I can't remember, to be
I
honest.
think there was
But...
something between Gunter and Tictum in Monaco.
Yes,
And,
that was good for Tim to Monaco. But
No, do you know what? I'm thinking season 8. I'm thinking season 8, Gunter.
Oh, but we'll move past that then, because that was too long ago.
No,
Right?
that was
But
pre-Peloton.
it's too early to say that he's going about it the wrong way, right? He's already got a win, and it's only. But then at the same time, you know, him crashing into people will affect him in a negative way too, right?
Yeah.
Effectively, because he could get damaged and he could lose out, and I think. You know, we don't want that to happen, and well, for his sake. So I think I see Gunther as a fairly clean driver. I think he's a really good Formula E driver. So
I agree. He wouldn't be where he is in the championship. And consider it, don't forget, start of season 9, he didn't start off with a seat.
Yeah, 100%. He wasn't. As I said. What did I say? Did I say it last show? I said he wasn't supposed to be here. You know, that was supposed to be Nick de Vries's seat, and you know, here he is. So he's
done a fantastic job.
You know,
he has done a fantastic job.
He had a tricky start to Maserati at the beginning of last season, but he's really turned it around.
For a point till it was actually this time last year in Berlin.
So
and then he went on to score he was one of the top scorers for the rest of the season, and ended up 5th in the championship from scoring nothing for the first, was it 6 rounds, something like that?
Yeah, it was something ridiculous, and it was like a drop off of McLaren and pick up of Maserati.
He's already done far better than this time last year, so that's something to be positive about.
100%. Before we let you go, Chris, you said you're a Mitch Evans fan, right?
Yeah.
What do you make of his season then? Because it's not going his way. It was probably, I said it in the Jaguar special again. I don't know if you saw that his feature in the magazine that we did. I asked the question: is this your best chance to win a title? He's like, you know, he knows he's in a strong position because he's got the package, but it's just not working out. Can Mitch recover it? Do you think it's in a recoverable position at this stage of the season, heading into 3 double headers, Monaco? And 3 double headers in Monaco.
Well, that's Formula E. It always is, as long as you can get on a consistent run. And now we're definitely hitting some of the. I think the Peloton style tracks will suit the Jags and the Porsches, because you have a bad qualifying in Tokyo. That's your weekend run pretty much.
Yeah.
But say Jake Dennis 2nd from 19th, and the Porsches are slightly stronger on the Peloton-style tracks.
Yep.
One thing I've noticed, but I still think he's in with a shot. But I don't think it's that much of a shot.
No, so
I'm being perfectly honest.
You think it's fading away, which I think as well. I think Monaco. I think if he hasn't maybe won a race by Berlin or by after Berlin, then I think he's out.
Yeah, but
then he could come back in. But let's see where we are after Berlin, I think.
Yeah. He always seems to be close but never there. And it's rare to see him lead the championship.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll have to see how it goes. Chris, do call again. That was a great first-time caller. Love that you've come on. If you're free Wednesday for a chat with our CEO, get a question ready, because he wants to hear from... I got an email today and he was like, yeah, I want to hear from as many people as possible. So I was like, make sure you hear Wednesday if possible.
I'll prepare a question next time. I'll prepare better next time.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Thank you so much, Chris.
No worries. Thanks very much.
We had double Chris, so we'll get the second of the Chris's on. Here he is.
Right,
hello, Chris. You're on the FE bar.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back. What do you want to talk about?
A couple of weeks ago, I heard someone talk about... people were talking about Tictum and his struggles, but there's another driver that's been struggling this season that's gone a bit unnoticed, and that is Sasha Fenestraz.
Yeah, I wanted to talk Fenestraz. I really did on this show, so I'm glad you brought it up, because I don't understand what's going on, Chris. I don't. And for me, so much promise last season. You know, the pole in, what was it, Cape Town and Monaco, and then this season, like, I wanted him to take that step forward, and he hasn't taken that step forward.
It's really weird, because it's not just last season. It's like his Super Formula career is impressive as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, this season he's just not turned up. But there's a driver in him. We know that.
Yeah, 100%.
But he's just been showed up by Roland
Yeah.
massively, and it's been a shock because I thought he'd be pushing on.
Yeah, I thought so too.
So, at least more maybe inconsistent to get at least challenge for a
But at least
podium.
you'd expect him to be challenging. If Roland can get that car into the top 5, you would expect Sasha Fenestras to be able to get that car into the top 5 too, right? Based on what we saw last season. And yeah, for whatever reason, it's not clicking. And Media Pen Friday in Monaco, Sasha Fenestras is one of the drivers I'm going to, and I'm like, mate, what's going on? Like, talk to me. Like, why hasn't it clicked this season? You're in Monaco. It was good for you in Monaco last year. Is this the place where we kickstart? Is there something that's been missing? What's changed? Because the car's gotten better, right? And we can see this because how Oliver Rowland's performing, and the data is there telling us that the Nissan powered cars are much better than what they were last season, which was hilarious because we left testing thinking that they weren't, which was very similar to the Andretti story in a way from season 9. We left testing and Nissan was like, oh, don't know if we made a good jump forward here, but it turns out when they got to the actual tracks that they had made a good step forward. So yeah, I don't know. Because Norman Nato, Chris, he's no slouch, right? I'm a big Norman Nato fan. Like, I think he's a really good driver. So I don't think it's because he had a poor teammate last season that he excelled. Because Nato had a half decent season, especially towards the end of the season.
Nato finished ahead of Fenestras.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, but Nato had a very strong end of the year, right? And that's what I mean. He's no slouch, and I know he might not have the 100% at Andretti. So it's not like he had a bad teammate last season and he outperformed. It's just you'd expect that step and it hasn't happened.
I think the worrying thing is you can't even see a flash of pace. It's like last season he was inconsistent, but even if he wasn't getting everything together, you could see, oh, if he didn't make that mistake there, you could have got in the duels or whatever. This season has just been, as someone put in the chat, it's just been anonymous.
Yeah, Misano I thought was a great chance for him, right? In terms of, it didn't matter where you qualified. Because, as Pascal said, qualifying was pretty irrelevant. Therefore, it's just how you get through the field. Get through the field. You do what DaCosta did. Like, show something. This is your chance to just do something and show us, right, it's not worked. Jake Dennis, 17th on Saturday, manages to get through. Like, you want Sasha to try and do the same, and he's not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, Nissan have improved in the race, don't get me wrong, but I don't think... I mean, to be fair, I didn't see Misano, so I can't fully talk about that too much. But the race pace hasn't been as quick as, to me, as Jaguar or Porsche still.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't expect him to be doing what Dennis has done. But it's the qualifying for me. He's just been there. Like, that's what he had last season.
That was his strength. And if we look at Jake
that was his strength, and it's just gone.
We look at Jake Hughes, because I want to quickly mention Jake Hughes before we don't mention Jake Hughes, because what a weekend he had. But that's what Jake Hughes did last season as well. Was quick at qualifying, turn up to Misano. I know you said you didn't see it, but he was blindingly quick and got the pole. And easily, if it wasn't for a mistake on Saturday, could have had pole on Saturday. But those are the glimpses that it didn't work out in the race for Hughes. But then at least we're still seeing the glimpses of pace from Hughes, which we're now not seeing from Fenestras.
Yeah, that's my point exactly. I mean, the other one as well is his teammate last year. Nato's not been... He's another one who's just been anonymous.
I think it's hard for Nato, though, because he goes from one team to another team to another team. So he's got the settling in period. He's got the new software, new powertrain to learn. I think there's a lot more going on for Norman than others, which makes a bit more sense. But
Then
again,
explain Roland's season.
Roland's
or Bird.
I suppose.
But at the
same time,
it's not
Bird,
like it's
I know Bird's won a race, but Bird's won a race and that's it, really.
Yeah, but he's been quick. It's not like he's been. It's been nowhere. He's been unlucky in other races.
The championship standings don't lie, though. If you think about NATO's only a couple of points behind. He's in the top 10. Right, he's
but it's from
Bird's
6th
ninth.
places that he's been picked up because others have crashed.
That's
it's not been because of the pace. He's not been pushing for
All right, but it's
podiums.
It's consistency though. He's there. He's not making many mistakes.
It's consistently slow. It's not consistently quick.
Okay. I don't think I'm going to win. I don't think I'm going to win the Norman battle here. I don't think. I'm a big fan of Norman.
Right.
I'm a big fan of him. It's another one that's been disappointing.
Right.
It's like
I will say consistency.
Anyway,
consistently slow is the tagline for the Misano Eprix.
Yeah, consistently slow. Anyway, Chris, we've got to let you go because we've got 2 other people to try and squeeze on before 10 o'clock. But thank you for getting back. Really good to speak to you again. Right, if we're gonna get Helen in, and then we'll finish with Toby.
Right.
Helen, welcome back to the FE bar.
Hello.
ERT, I suppose this is where this is going. What was it? Fourth place finish in the end on Saturday for Dan.
Yeah, very impressive. I have to firstly start with a little bit of an apology from the last time, because obviously the last time I was saying there was something wrong with the car. Now, had they just completely proved me wrong there, made me look very, very silly. But no, it was a marked improvement on the team radio and everything as well. The feedback that they were getting, everything was drastically different. So I don't want to say it was me because it clearly wasn't, but it could have been me.
Could have been. They were like, well, we better put.
They're always listening.
We better put in a performance this weekend. But it was good to see, right? It was good to see. Like, they had a strategy. They held back. Tictum tried it on Sunday's race. You could see because he had back. He did have more energy, but I think the safety car and not having the added laps kind of stopped that strategy quite quickly, because then it became pretty much flat out and it wasn't as much energy saving that was needed. So therefore, he was a bit too far back to come through the field. But I suppose in a championship where Muller's picking up points for Apt, in a championship where Mahindra aren't really scoring many points at this precise moment, so in that battle for the bottom 3 teams, with Muller doing what he's doing, ERT needed to respond, and they did respond this weekend. So that's good for the team. That's got to be a lot of positives.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think as well, one of the big things for it is probably just getting some points on the board for himself this season.
Yeah.
Very frustrating sitting there knowing that last year you were on the cusp of being able to, at least grab a few points here and there. And so far, having absolutely nothing on board, the frustration of that would be there as well. So I'm hoping that this is maybe the start of a little bit of a turnaround for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it gives them motivation, right? It gives them motivation, which they desperately want, right? Because we were questioning that motivation, and you go, okay, right, we do have something. There is something to fight for in these types of races. And if we are going to Shanghai, and if we are going to Portland, or we are going to see, that's 4 more races, and Berlin, so that's 6 more races potentially, where we could see this style of racing, where ERT, if they do the strategy and if it works out for them, there's more points on the cards.
Yeah, exactly. And, they've managed to get some good results this weekend doing that strategy. And Dan sort of said as well, it was unusual that people didn't pick up that that's how they were going to run it. He seemed to think it was quite an obvious way to make, obvious thing to choose. So maybe other people are going to cotton on and it might not work again. But you've got to keep trying. Unless they're going to start getting better positions in qualifying, I think that's the way that they're going to have to go about it.
100%. Helen, we're going to have to let you go because we're running a bit short on time and I want to try and squeeze everybody in.
No problem.
But thank you so much for popping on. So up next is a good friend of ours, actually, from E4MLDE. It's Tobias. Tobias, how are you?
Good evening, guys.
Good
I'm
evening.
fine. How are you?
How are you? Were you in Misano?
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not. Oh, shame. But thank you for joining the FE bar. How's life at E4MLDE?
Yeah, pretty much to do, I think. Especially on Saturday, it was a very, very long day.
Because that's your job, right? So your job, for the people who don't know here at E4MLDE, you basically sit at your computer and wait for the final race classifications, and you sit and you wait and look at that notice board. Because that's just the job that you're doing. You do such a great job at it because you're always bang as soon as something's up. You've snipped it up. It's on Twitter, and I've literally just got you ready on Twitter just because I know that the announcements will come, and I'll get them from you quite quickly. So maybe talk to me about that announcement then for Da Costa on Saturday, and what were you thinking as the hours were passing, and there was no official result?
Yeah, I knew that something must be wrong because the technical report was online where we could read that there was something going on, that one car was found that was not in compliance with the regs.
Mm-hmm.
And it took time, and then the document was there, and panic all around.
Yeah, panic all around. That's the best way to describe it. I remember it was in Discord, someone mentioned it, and I think then you very quickly posted the link to it. And I remember my reaction was like, what? I was like, no, you can't. I was just chilling. When you're like, right, I can relax now. I think that's always the same, right? You feel like, right, it's got to come, just relax, time to put your feet up, nothing's going to happen, and then boom, Formula E strikes again. It always seems to be the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Changing the result by disqualifying the winner 5 hours after a race. Yeah, that makes a lot of work. All the articles that are online that have to be changed, the results, we have to re-enter, the standings, changes everything. And this 5 hours after the end of the race, wow.
Yes, that's why we've given up on the standings on the website on us.
It was 11 p.m. When I was finished.
Mad,
absolutely.
Isn't it? Mad. Yeah, I remember going to bed Saturday thinking, got to do this again tomorrow, and I'm not even at the track, and I'm tired. So I don't know how Nick felt when he was there. Toby, you going to Monaco? You in Monaco? I assume Berlin, but
now unfortunately not to Monaco. I'm going to Berlin. I'm going to London, of course.
Of course, lovely.
And let's take a look. Probably Portland too. I hope.
Fingers crossed. Well, good luck in Portland. That'll be a great one to go to. Before we wrap up the show, anything you want to talk about? Anyone who surprised you? Any of your thoughts on the season so far?
Yeah, I'm really surprised how much the Nissan powertrains caught up this season, and Stellantis too.
Yeah.
It's, I think, really 4 powertrains that are able to win races, and they did win races already. So I'm a bit surprised that all the powertrains are equal now, quite equal. Not in points of efficiency, but in
terms of speed.
Regarding speed, one lap pace, for example.
Yeah.
We had, I think it was Tokyo, where we had all 6 powertrains in the duels for the first time ever.
Yep. Very true. 100%.
Yeah. That's what surprised me the most, I have to say. After the last season, I was quite sure that Porsche and Jaguar are much stronger than all the others, but absolutely not.
It's amazing how much can be caught up. And I suppose, I know we talked about it earlier, but Nico Müller, right? We weren't expecting this Mahindra powertrain to be doing anything. Mahindra aren't doing anything with their powertrain. So the fact that Müller's doing something is pretty incredible.
Absolutely, and he was in the duels 4 times in a row now.
Yeah.
And all the 3 other Mahindra drivers have been in the duels just 2 times, and it was both times Mortara. I think it's Sao Paulo and Tokyo.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing from Nico Müller. I'm quite impressed, and I think he shows that maybe next season he can be at a better team with a better powertrain.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if it will be Porsche.
I was going to say, what do you know? Go on then, as the official German media source, right? Because that's what F1 are, right? The best German news source website going. What's the rumors? Because I'm sure you would have followed up.
I have to say, I heard first of this by Sam Smith.
Yeah.
So much about the German media.
Yeah, I know. But at the same time, it's always Sam. But at the same time, I would say you're the best person, the best website to go and follow up. And I know that you've got good connections with Porsche and the German sides with Abt as well.
Yeah, I think we have, but unfortunately, nobody wants to say anything about it. Even when talking to me, nobody wants to be, the loophole, I say, that leaks some information.
Yep.
They are quite really quiet when we talk about topics like this.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I can imagine. It's not.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult thing, especially if it's not clear if they will keep Antonio or not. Of course, I can understand it. Unfortunately, nothing new from my side.
Nothing new from your side. Okay, thank you very much, Tobias. Thank you so much
Welcome.
for coming on. If you want to come on more, I'll get you a lower third as well if I can try and make one. I don't know how to make multiple. I can only learn how to make one for the system to work. But yeah, it's great having someone from eFormula DE come on. And go check out eFormula News, because eFormula DE is obviously the German base, but eFormula News is the English version. And I remember talking to Timo for years about potentially that happening, and I think that's working hopefully really well for you guys. And yeah, keep up the good work, and I'm looking forward to see. I will be in Berlin and I will be in London, so I look forward to seeing you then.
Perfect, thank you very much. I'm looking forward too.
Right, I'll see you soon.
Bye guys.
Bye.
So
right, we have one more call though that we're going to squeeze in before we go. Right, and now I'm terrible for pronouncing names here, so it's a tricky one for me. Hello. Hello. How are you? Is it your name? Is it B? I don't know how to pronounce it. BECI. I'm a bit stumped.
It's basically Becky, but like not traditional Becky spelling.
I thought it was Becky. I did, because I saw the message and I was like, I was like, is that Becky? Is that Becky? Is that how I pronounce it? Or is it like something?
I've just seen that text.
I was like, was it just a really posh name that I don't know how to pronounce? Becky. Welcome to the FE bar. What would you like to talk about?
God. Okay. Can we please chat about how Antonio Felix da Costa, please, God rest his soul, deserves better?
He's not dead. He's not.
I don't get the way he was being treated. It feels like he is. I feel like it's always been a thing where I'm a true believer of, I always get really bad premonitions. And I always, ever since I've watched motorsport, anytime I have a driver that I go, okay, this is my driver, I've always ended up feeling like I've cursed them randomly. It's been the same in like other sports. It's been the same in Formula One.
Right. Right. So sports. Let's go then. So in Formula One, who have you cursed? Who have you cursed?
Stroll.
Well, to be honest, that was your fault. 100%. Other sports then. Give me some other sports. Who have you cursed?
Okay. The fact I once supported Chelsea in football, and then they completely fell off piste.
So you're the reason Todd.
Reason, yeah.
You're the reason Todd Bodley came. Okay, so
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll tell my dad. He's a Chelsea fan. He's been at Stamford Bridge tonight. He'll be pretty happy that they've won 5-0. I think it was. I might check the final score actually right now to see what it was. It was 5-0. They scored. They won 6-0 in the end against Everton. So
wow,
quite funny. So maybe a good time to still be a Chelsea fan. You know, they're on the up. But
well, Nick is in chat, so we'll see the reaction in about 30 seconds.
Oh wow!
Still waiting for the plane. Well, yeah, we've just seen our resident Chelsea fan. But still.
Wow.
But yeah,
the Chelsea, there it is.
Yeah, up the Chelsea. I was going to talk to you about football. It's not football. Antonio Felix. Antonio Felix da Costa.
Antonio.
I feel like
he's had a lot of bad luck.
He has, and I feel like you could almost say, like, one time bad luck, it's almost a bit like, okay, fair enough, whatever. 2 times you go, I'm not going to question it, but that's a bit weird. Anything over 3 times, it's beginning to sound a bit sus. I love Porsche. They've always been my team when I started in supporting Formula E. Like, I have to be slightly biased to them. They do follow me on Twitter. I love them to pieces. However, I get so many like awful vibes. I have only just watched the races. I was away this weekend. It was my birthday.
Yep,
I was
happy birthday.
that would be some good luck. Thank you. It absolutely couldn't have been any worse for my poor driver. And I heard the rumour mills. I've obviously seen them. And as a fan, like, I know like many other people have faced it in the past where they've gone, oh, their drivers are not doing very well, and the rumour mill hit. And I remembered all that hitting, and it was almost like there was no defense much on Antonio's side.
Yeah.
My perspective as a fan of his at the moment is it's almost like you are in the desert. There's nothing there, almost.
Yeah.
I've received some really awful comments about it as well, and they're going,
Yeah, you
"Oh,
gotta be careful on social media.
Why can't you just support someone in the championship?" I'm like, no, hear me out. I'm a vibe person. You could be the best person in the world and not even be anywhere close. I'm still gonna support you.
Faz.
But we need something to just kind of, we need like a manifestation circle, and we can just bring him back to where he needs. I feel like every bit of bad luck, it couldn't get any worse. What's the next that's gonna happen? The car's gonna not start. Like that, it's almost like everything that could, no matter how ridiculous or absurd it sounds, happens to him. And it's very frustrating at this point. And I was saying the other day to someone, I'm going to Berlin next month.
Nice.
How am I gonna cope if any bad luck happens before my eyes?
Well, I don't know. Well, you curse people, so unfortunately, in your presence, I'm sure it's going to be a terrible day. So if he finishes last and he gets crashed out, we know who to blame. And when you come on the FE bar.
What will happen is that Jack will interview Antonio in the post in the press and go, "I know the person who's jinxed you. Give me 2 seconds. I'll take you out."
You can. I don't know. There we go.
Oh,
Becky,
God.
Been an absolute privilege having you on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for you're our last caller tonight. So
I appreciate that.
And enjoyed I hope to have you on basically again. Do come back again. And if you're free Wednesday and you've got a question for our CEO, we'd love to. We want to try and get as many people on as possible while we have him for about an hour. So the more the merrier. So if you're free, please do come.
I'll let you know. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you for coming on. Right.
Of course.
Okay, right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 10 past 10. We were in overtime. Go on.
I just want to say, if people saw like my reactions during that things, and I looked a little bit too happy, smiling at the Costa's misfortune. I was laughing at Nick getting banned for going Cole Palmer in the chat.
Cole Palmer. Did you accept it? Because I can see it.
No, I've got no idea, but
I've forgotten his Chelsea song now. I was singing it.
There's a Nightbot warning.
I was singing it after. What's his song? I've forgotten his song. Chelsea are on the beers though. That's a little bit, but I've forgotten the beginning. But anyway, no one wants to know what Cole Palmer's Chelsea song is. What we do want to say before we go, because this is really, 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 really important. So for those of you who want to speak to Jeff Dodds on Wednesday, but get that right, he will be on at the beginning of the show. He will not be on the show for the whole time. We will still do a 2-hour show, right? And we'll probably discuss things that was said in the second hour. But he'll be on. But it won't be on Discord. It will be on Zoom. So we are still going to potentially, we don't know yet, we're going to have a bit of a meeting to discuss, and there will be a message that will go out. But potentially the original idea is that you'll go to the waiting room in Discord, and then you will be invited to the Zoom call. You'll have your question, and then you'll leave the Zoom call effectively, and there'll be a list of instructions come Tuesday evening once we've clarified everything on our side. But effectively, there won't be an FE Bar main chat where you're dragged into. You will either be on a Zoom call, and then once you finish, you leave, and so forth. We will then come back to Discord once the show is finished, and we'll if you want to come on after Jeff has come on to talk about what was said and so forth, then the show will continue on. So it should be an hour, Nick at 9. That's what I mean. Fingers crossed it should be Nick at 9 should still happen. It might be Nick at 9:05, but It was Nick at 9:01 today, but you know, close enough. But that's effectively what's going to happen. I got an email today from his press officer saying that, you know, he can't wait to hear as many questions from you guys as possible. So he wants to hear from you, right? He doesn't really want to hear from us, and we don't have much time to talk to him because he wants to hear from you. So I don't want to talk to him. I do want to talk to him, but I want you to talk to him because that's the whole point of this show, and it's the whole point of getting the fans closer to the series that you love. And we're working behind the scenes to try and get some more special guests on. You know, we had Mark Preston. We're working on a rescheduled date that is getting a bit closer, so keep an eye out for that. And then we're also trying to work on getting some more people on in the future as well. Fingers crossed, maybe a driver, but you know, we're still a long way away from getting any of that. But that is the ultimate aim, is maybe trying to get one of the drivers on here as well. But we'll see where it goes. And so from me and Pico, you have been watching the FE Bar. That has been the FE Bar. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we will be back on Wednesday with the CEO of Formula E, Jeff Dodds. It's going to be a good one. You don't want to miss it. Good night.